Hey everyone, I am Carrie Little, and yes, we are doing this again. We are doing this again as I learn my equipment. So eventually, hopefully, I won't have to tell you that. So today, I want to come back and talk to you about the seller calls. Now what? So my tip for you is for those of you that went to Amazon and bought the New Real Estate Agents Journal, we are around page 140, running a business like a business, so you can take all of your notes today. All right, so the seller calls, now what? So, as a real estate agent, it's our job to make sure when we work with our potential clients that we are professional and remain consistent with every single client. So I thought I would come up with a list of things that you may want to do when working with your clients, and specifically seller clients, because right now in this market we need listings. Now you can adjust this list, but my recommendation is when you do come up with the list, remain consistent. All right, so here we go. You're going to use this checklist every time someone calls you to sell their house. So, number one, seller calls and you're like, okay, what do I do? Now, some of you that have been selling for a while, you're like, I got this, old school. You just get out a notepad, you get out Evernote, and you can take notes. Now, when someone does call, traditional, back in 2001, we used to have these things, old school piece of paper. So you could use something like this. You could create a Google form. You just need a place where you know which questions you need to ask. Then, once you get all of this information, you need to schedule an appointment. And I even have on the bottom of this, when can I preview the home? So date and time. Schedule it, put it in my Google Calendar, my CRM, so I know that I arrive on time. Number three, before you go, I want you to look up the property history, whether it's in your multiple listing service, whether it's Remind, Realist, RPR, you go to the county records, you need to look up the history of the property. So I like to print the tax records. I like to print the RPR report. For us, it's Remind. I need to gather all of the information about the property. Number four, you need to print the old listing sheet. So in our marketplace, we can go back to 1980 and print out the old listing sheet, assuming the house had been on the market before. Now, the reason why I like the old listing sheet is that it kind of gives me an idea of what the house used to look like, because even when I get to the house and I see the house, I might get to the kitchen and the previous agent may have marketed the kitchen as a 20 by 20 when it could have been marketed as two separate rooms, meaning there could have been a breakfast area. So you want that old listing sheet. Then number five, you're going to create, because you asked all the appropriate questions like bedrooms, bathrooms, basement, is it finished? When do they plan on selling? Fireplace, everything. Then when you create number five, your quick market analysis, now you have the ability to kind of gauge what the market is doing. Now, it doesn't mean you have to create a full market analysis, but you want to know what's happening in that neighborhood, in that city, in that subdivision, in the urban area, the Chicago neighborhoods. If you're in Atlanta, the urban areas in Atlanta. So think about your marketplace. If it's a condo building, everything that's happened in the condo building. Number six, you are going to use data to explain the market. Now, we use InfoSparks. It is owned by Showing Time. In many of your marketplaces, it could be called Market View or Market Stats. So I don't care if it's your MLS, InfoSparks, you need to know this data. Now, I'm going to give you the basics. You could use more, but I'll give you the basics. You need to know month supply, listings to contract. How many days does it take to get listing to contract? How many days does it take to get to contract once you have a listing? Then how many showings per contract? So you can say to the client, you have this many showings in this many days. If you don't have if you're not under contract, something's wrong. And then you want to know what the inventory looks like. Are you in a buyer or a seller's market? And then market time. Now, that's your number six. Number seven. Now, I'm in Northern Illinois. And in Northern Illinois, we can do what is called a reverse prospect. So, number seven, I want to start the draft in the multiple listing service, because once those automated searches cycle through, it's not listed. So, I need like 24 hours. I can determine how long it takes how many potential buyers there are already working with a real estate agent. So, I like reverse prospect. If you don't know what that is, see me in another class. And if your marketplace allows you to start the draft and you don't have to list it right away, starting the draft also helps. So when you are ready to list, you don't have to do all that work. Our listings, we have like 7 pages on that listing input sheet. And I didn't even tell you about that. That's a part of my research in number 3. I print the listing input sheet because then I know what I didn't know. So instead of walking into the client's house with a notepad, I'm walking into the client's house with my listing input sheet. And by the way, if you're like, Carrie, why are you talking about paper? You could open up the MLS and go through what you didn't know. So, or you could put it in Evernote. You can go, well, you don't have to use any paper, but some of you, the first time, you might want old school paper or maybe even an iPad. So, number 8, email the consumer's guide to agency to your seller. Now, every market is different. We have different documents. So, this is where you might email the agency, how you work, how the real estate industry works. You might, in Illinois, we have to send the lead-based paint brochure, the radon brochure, fair housing brochure, the residential disclosure brochure. All of these documents need to be provided to the seller and a buyer and a tenant and a landlord. So, this could be a great way to follow up when you do get off the call. And once you're off the call, you can send a handwritten note. So there's a couple of things you could do there. Number 9, depending on the client, schedule a virtual consultation. Schedule a virtual consultation. Now, you might just go preview the home and skip the number 9. I like the virtual consultation because I can share my screen, I can talk about the marketplace, and I can help them remain safe during a pandemic. Number 10, next steps. Preview the home and use the listing input sheet to gather the information you didn't know. So highlight everything you didn't know. And then you can create a form for the most recent updates. Like, can you tell me everything you've updated in the home, when you've replaced the roof, when the furnace was cleaned, maybe, or when you replaced the furnace, things like that. So create a form where you can fill all of this out. And then number 12, create a list of things the seller loves about the home. This will help you with your remarks. So you can say, so tell me why you love the home. And you could leave this document with the client, or you could send the document to the client. The client knows why they bought the home. They bought it for the view. They bought it because the school is around the corner from their house. They bought it because there is a train line so they can get to downtown Chicago. So you want to know this because it will help you with your remarks, and it will help you when you talk to the buyer's agent. Now, the bonus would be write down your seller update recommendation. So, what do I mean? You're previewing the home and you're taking notes. Like, yeah, I think they could, declutter a little bit. I think they could rearrange the furniture a little bit. They could paint a coat, new paint of coat of paint goes a long way, right? Updating the light fixtures, maybe replacing the carpet. You're going to write down your wish list for the seller. And it doesn't mean you're just going to write out the gate, say, you girl, you need to fix this, and this. You need to have some discernment because you could offend someone. But write down that list and you can talk about it maybe in the follow-up email. I loved your home, but if you have the budget, you could do this. So why did I share this with you? So in a few days, you will be able to download all of this information, a seller form, a Google form, so you can grab this information, and a quick seller download where they can tell you all of the updates and everything they love about the home. How cool is that? So keep watching. I'll add that link. Follow me on Instagram, and I will add that link on Instagram where you can find that as well. So thanks for joining me. I'm Carrie Little. I am a licensed real estate professional just like you. I am the broker owner, designated managing broker of Caremark Realty Group in Illinois, but I am also an instructor and I get so many questions. So I figured I might as well help you learn to earn. So thank you for joining me. If there's something you want to learn, type it in the feed. If you are new to YouTube or Facebook, make sure you like my page and make sure you hit the subscribe and the bell so you are notified every time I create a new video. Thank you so much.